So, what in the world do sex hormones have to do with your stomach? Well, it turns out there's this really fascinating, kind of hidden connection that scientists have been piecing together for decades. Let's dive into this surprising link between our hormones and our gut health. Our whole story really kicks off with a medical mystery. You see, for a very, very long time, clinical data has clearly shown that men are just way more likely to get peptic ulcers than women. But why? I mean, what's going on there? The answer, it turns out, lies a lot deeper than you might think. All right, to get to the bottom of this, we're going to start with the first and, the most obvious clue, the basic biological differences in the stomach that first got researchers heading in the right direction. So here's the core observation, and this has been confirmed by study after study going way back. It's actually pretty simple. On average, men's stomachs just produce more acid than women's. And, well, that higher acid level naturally makes their stomach lining a bit more vulnerable to damage and, you guessed it, ulcers. This really clear difference between the sexes pointed scientists toward a pretty powerful idea, the hormone hypothesis. And once you go down that road, the prime suspects become kind of obvious, right? It's got to be the sex hormones that shape so many of our biological differences. And this brings us to the two sides of the story, the two main players. On one side, you've got androgens. Think male sex hormones like testosterone. Researchers actually label them ulcerogenic, which is just a fancy way of saying they help create ulcers. And on the other side, you've got estrogens, which are seen as protective, like a shield for the stomach lining. And listen, this isn't just some theory. This quote from a really important study back in 1970 highlights the real-world evidence. Researchers noticed that women are most protected from ulcers during times when their estrogen levels are high, like during pregnancy. And, on the flip side, their risk for ulcers actually goes up after menopause, when those estrogen levels naturally drop. Okay, so it seems simple, right? Testosterone is the bad guy, estrogen is the good guy. Case closed. But, science is rarely that neat and tidy. The investigation took a really surprising turn when a totally new chemical showed up. And, well, complicated everything. Histamine. Now, you've probably heard of histamine from allergies, right? But in the stomach, it has this super important day job. Histamine is one of the most powerful signals that tells your stomach, hey, pump out more acid. So more histamine should mean more acid. Just keep that in the back of your mind, because things are about to get weird. Check this out. In a 1972 study, when researchers gave estrogen to mice, their histamine levels went through the roof. I'm talking skyrocketing up to 50 times the normal level. So wait a minute. The protective hormone was dramatically increasing the body's main trigger for stomach acid? How does that make any sense? And here is the real kicker. When they gave mice testosterone, the supposed ulcer-causing hormone, it did the exact opposite. It caused a massive drop in histamine, all the way down to just 10% of what it was. This seems to fly in the face of everything we thought we knew. So, okay, let's just pause and think about this for a second, because this is the central puzzle of our whole story. If testosterone is slashing the main chemical that triggers stomach acid, how can it possibly be the one responsible for more ulcers? It doesn't add up. To solve this mystery, we have to look beyond just histamine. The answer isn't one single thing. It's more like a multi-pronged attack. It's time to connect all the clues and finally build the case against testosterone. And here is the crucial piece of the puzzle. That whole histamine effect, it was basically a red herring. Other research showed that testosterone has different, more direct ways of cranking up acid production that completely bypass the histamine link. It's like it has a secret key to the acid factory. It doesn't need to go through the front door. And the evidence gets even more dramatic. In that same 1970 study, when rats that were treated with androgens were then exposed to histamine, every single one of them, 100%, developed peptic ulcers. The control group, 0, none. This showed that testosterone doesn't just increase acid, it makes the stomach lining incredibly vulnerable. So, a 2008 study really painted the full picture of this attack. It turns out testosterone doesn't just step on the gas for acid production, it also cuts the brakes on healing. It reduces blood flow, which is absolutely essential for any kind of repair. It ramps up inflammation, and it basically weakens the stomach's natural armor, creating the perfect storm for ulcers to form and just not go away. So let's recap the official case against testosterone. 1, it directly increases stomach acid. 2, it weakens the protective barrier of the stomach lining. 3, it promotes inflammation. And 4, it actively slows down the body's own ability to heal any damage that happens. It is a full-on, comprehensive assault. So after weighing all the evidence, from those first clinical observations all the way to the complex stuff happening at the cellular level, we can finally reach a verdict. And the verdict is crystal clear. Testosterone's impact isn't from one single action, but from this coordinated attack. It creates a truly hostile environment by turning up the acid, while at the same time dismantling the stomach's own defense and repair systems. But here's the cool part. The body doesn't just leave itself defenseless. That same 2008 study found a natural check and balance, a compound called epidermal growth factor, or EGF. It's produced mainly in our salivary glands, and it can actually limit the damage from testosterone and help with healing. It just goes to show you the constant battle for balance that's always happening inside our bodies. This whole deep dive really shows how hormones can shape our health in these profound and often totally hidden ways. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other complex and surprising connections between all the different systems in our bodies are just out there, waiting to be discovered?